Hey guys, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you a few thoughts on some topics that happened today. First off, the college football playoff rankings came out, and a little surprising to me, Georgia wasn't number one. I thought Georgia would be the darling of the college football playoff committee, but no, it was Tennessee. And don't get me wrong, they beat LSU, they beat Alabama, so be it. Right? So I think it's Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia 3, 4 Clemson, 5 Michigan, 6 Alabama, then I think it's undefeated TCU behind Alabama. So that'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, again, I don't make too much of rankings, especially, this reminds me of the first rankings of the college football season. All they are really are to create buzz and interest about the games. That's what happens in like the first week of college football. It's like, ooh, you know, number, whatever it was like number 2 Ohio State versus number 5 Notre Dame. Well, a big name buzz game, right? And then we find out Notre Dame's trash and loses to, you know, shoot, I can't think of a Marshall, right? And Stanford. And so it's like, okay, maybe Notre Dame was not the number 5 team in the country, even though our preseason polls had that. So, similarly, we have our first college football playoff rankings. And, yeah, a lot of this is just going to get itself figured out. I'm not going to get worked up about the fact that Michigan's 5 or wherever, because Michigan's undefeated. Michigan still has Illinois to go, which will, if they continue to win, will probably be a top 10 game. And then they, of course, have the game versus Ohio State, which, unless some, well, I don't know how they could lose, Ohio State could lose. They're a very good team, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how they could lose to anyone unranked. But we'll see, whatever. But so Michigan should also be playing, like, in theory, number 1 or number 2 Ohio State at that point in the year. So if Michigan beats a top 10 Illinois and a top 10 Ohio State, top 5 Ohio State, they'll get into the playoff. And of course, you also have to win the Big Ten title game as well, so don't forget that fact. So I mean, if you get that far, I think Michigan would be in. Just kind of like last year, yeah. Michigan lost to Michigan State, and Michigan still found its way in, right? I wonder if the trend will continue. It's not every year, but many years the first team, when the first playoff ranking comes out, the team ranked number 3 does not make the playoffs quite a bit of time. And as you might recall, last year Michigan State was ranked number 3, and there you go, they didn't make the playoff. So that's kind of nice. So we'll see if it continues on this year. Speaking of Michigan State, I don't want to dwell on this too much. I've gotten tired of this story. I'm sorry if you really want me to delve into this. It's not my thing. But tonight, Michigan State suspended 4 more players. It's just hard to kind of keep up with this because first one Twitter feed came out of phone cam. Then I think another one came out on Sunday. And another one came out on Monday. And it's like, it's just like kind of going on and on and on. And anyways, Michigan State has suspended 4 more players, so that's 8 total, pending the conclusion of this investigation. And at this point now, as a Michigan fan, I'm thinking, okay, Michigan State's doing something. My pessimism, of course, was thinking, well, Michigan State's wasn't suspending these 4 players till there was enough evidence that they had to. That's just whatever. I don't want to go down that line in my own mind. You know what? It's out of my control. If the Big Ten's doing it, or Michigan State's doing it, or whatever, fine. It's out of my control. I just am happy that something's coming out of this, and hopefully this will never happen again. I just want to reiterate the fact that hearing Michigan State fans acting that somehow Michigan did something to warrant being assaulted is ludicrous to me. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say I don't find any logical reason why Michigan, if they were verbally taunting, would deserve to be attacked. If they started the fight, I've not heard any defense of that from Michigan State players, that Michigan attacked first. The video does not show everything, at least that's been public. So perhaps Michigan did, but again, have not heard anything of the like. Just kind of tired of that saga. I want to just move past, and it'll get all rehashed next year when Michigan goes to East Lansing, and it'll be a huge topic that week, and it's going to be unbearable. Hopefully both teams do not have a bye week to, make it a double hate week, as they would call it. So, hopefully Michigan can get past it. So now, looking ahead, Michigan plays at Rutgers Saturday night, and I'm a little concerned about this game for a couple reasons. One, Michigan's playing a team that they should be able to easily defeat. So is their mindset in the preparation, right? Rutgers is 4-4, but only 1-4 in the Big Ten, right? They started off 3-0. Their win in the Big Ten was Indiana, and I watched some of that game, and it was all just terrible football. I'm like, oh my word, this is so bad. I went and did yard work instead of watching that game. It was so bad, and I love college football. Right when this is done, I'm gonna go turn on Mac Action and watch that because that's gonna be far more entertaining than that Rutgers Indiana game was. But Rutgers is just lying in the weeds a little bit. I'm not thinking they're going to be like, oh, we have the chance to take down Michigan, like they really totally think they can do it, but Michigan's going to have to be sloppy. And think about it. Michigan is coming off a road win, a night road game. Sorry, not road home game, right? Why I said that backwards. A night home game against Michigan State. Huge victory, emotional victory. And then you have all this fallout from the tunnel stuff. And I think Michigan might be kind of going into this game sleepwalking a little bit. Just kind of going through the motions. I would not be surprised if Rutgers was even within a score or even up at halftime. Because Michigan, I think, will not really be in the game. I think they're going to be sloppy. I think they're going to be sleepy. So I would expect this game to be tighter than people think it will be. If I was a betting person, which I'm not, but I play this game on CBS Sports Fun with my friends, I would take the under on whatever this spread is. Now, Michigan has shown the tendency to make great adjustments, especially on defense, in the second half at halftime, and I would expect Michigan would still get the win, but I think it's going to be kind of like oh man, what kind of effort was this? But all the circumstances around it make it understandable how Michigan might have a little hiccup for a while against Rutgers. Talk about Rutgers a little bit. Offensively, not that great. They fired their offensive coordinator just a week or two back. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and not doing so great. I found a few stats. Simon is their leading quarterback. He's passing at 58%. The other two quarterbacks who are options have completed 46% of their passes and 40% of their passes. Simon has 4 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions on the season. Not a great ratio. They run the ball average, probably about 3 yards per carry. Their best guy is like 4.3 yards per carry. I did notice that their tight end actually had 17 carries on the season. I don't know. I don't do film dive and such. Later on this week, MGO Blog will do a great job of breaking down Rutgers offense and defense. So if you really want a deep dive, check them out. But I don't know if their tight end had to fill in with some, like the running back's injured, or if they actually use him creatively in their running game. That'll be interesting to find out. I'll try to find that out. Defense, I gotta say, is solid-ish. It's not nearly as bad as the offense is. Now, they gave up 49 to Ohio State, fine. But the defense keeps them in the game, but then they just can't hold up. They lost 14-13 to Nebraska. They, won 21, I think 14, something like that, versus Indiana, 24-17, something in that range. But it's the offense. Outside of their game against Wagner, when they scored 66 points, the offense has averaged 13 points per game. Not good. Not good. And they started off 3-0. Obviously counted Wagner, too, but still, you had 2 other wins in there. So, if I'm just going to be a predictor, I think Michigan is just going to settle, just kind of run the game and try to get through the game quickly. I don't expect a heavy dose of Corum, kind of. I would really like Corum to get a rest. 33 carries against Michigan State. And you're going to have Nebraska. And then you got 2 good teams at the end there, Illinois and Ohio State. This is also about the same time last year where he got, injured his ankle, right? And then you had Hassan Haskins had to, carry the ball. And Edwards was out, too. So Hassan Haskins carried the whole load against Penn State, running the ball. So it would be really nice if Michigan could pass the ball, use J.J. McCarthy's arm, throw the ball. down the field to wide open receivers. It'd be great. You know, I hope. Come on, Michigan. Let's save Corum. Let's, you know, pass the ball through the air, downfield. I hope. I don't know. Okay. Long rambling there a little bit. So I hope Michigan will pass the ball, save Corum, use Edwards some more in Stokes. CJ Stokes would be great to get him, so like, you know, 15, 20. If CJ Stokes could get 10, 15 carries, I think that's a good night, outside of barring injuries, of course. So those are just some of my thoughts, midweek thoughts. So if you have any opinions, please let me know in the box below, and I'll try to respond as I'm able to. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and until I see you guys next time, as always, go Blue!